Good morning. Welcome to day 5 of our reading from the Great Controversy, chapter 36, entitled The Impending Conflict. We begin. Yet this very class put forth the claim that the fast-spreading corruption is largely attributable to the desecration of the so-called Christian Sabbath, and that the enforcement of Sunday observance would greatly improve the morals of society. This claim is especially urged in America, where the doctrine of the true Sabbath has been most widely preached. Here, the temperance work, one of the most prominent and important of moral reforms, is often combined with the Sunday movement, and the advocates of the latter represent themselves as laboring to promote the highest interest of society, and those who refuse to unite with them are denounced as the enemies of temperance and reform. But the fact that a movement to establish error is connected with a work which is in itself good is not an argument in favor of the error. We may disguise poison by mingling it with wholesome food, but we do not change its nature. On the contrary, it is rendered more dangerous as it is more likely to be taken unaware. It is one of Satan's devices to combine with falsehood just enough truth to give it plausibility. The leaders of the Sunday movement may advocate reforms which the people need, principles which are in harmony with the Bible. Yet while there is with these requirements which is contrary to God's law, his servant cannot unite with them. Nothing can justify them in setting aside the commandments of God for the precepts of men. This chapter, or this paragraph in fact, highlights that there are a group of people that is working assiduously in getting the world and so-called Christians to accept the Sabbath of man, which is Sunday, and not the Sabbath of God. And they are saying, they're using the argument that it is because we as mankind is not keeping the Sabbath of the Roman Church, which is Sunday. That is why we are suffering so many problems in our society. But it is the very fact that we are not obedient to God's seventh-day Sabbath. We are experiencing a society where the morals and standards have collapsed greatly. And God is saying that through his prophet Ellen White, that the people in the last days will be using this move to make Sunday as a sacred day of worship, to make Sunday as a Sabbath, and tie this move with temperance in terms of healthy eating and in terms of having rest and adequate rest and time with family. They are saying that this time is important for the betterment of the world. We can see happening in the world today that there are calls to make Sunday a day for family, make Sunday a day to rest from all your labors, make Sunday a day for Mother Earth, to ease up on the carbon emissions and to help the world to be better in their eyes. But we are not to be taken unaware. We are not to be fooled, poisoned. Anything that is not good for us, even if you mixed it with something good, is still poison. And we need to be aware, especially people living in the last days. You see, God is going to hold us accountable. And that is why he has sent these messages to warn the world, so that we may know. We may know that the leaders of this world are pushing an error, which is to keep Sunday as holy. They are pushing this error, and they're saying that you need it and I need it so that the world can survive. They are saying that we need it for society, the common good. But we need to be aware that this is error, and God's people cannot unite with error. We cannot justify setting aside the commandments of God for the precepts of men. We're continuing, and it says, through the two great errors, the immortality of the soul and Sunday sacredness, Satan will bring the people under his deception. While the former lays the foundation of spiritualism, the latter creates a bond of sympathy with Rome. The Protestants of the United States will be foremost in stretching their hands across the gulf to grasp the hands of spiritualism. They will reach over the abyss to clasp hands with the Roman power. And under the influence of this threefold union, this country will follow in the steps of Rome in trampling on the rights of conscience. As spiritualism more closely imitates the nominal Christianity of the day, it has greater power to deceive and ensnare. Satan himself is converted after the modern order of things. He will appear in the character of an angel of light. Through the agency of spiritualism, miracles will be wrought, the sick will be healed, and many undeniable wonders will be performed. And as the Spirit will profess faith in the Bible, the manifest respect for the institutions of the church, their work, will be accepted as a manifestation of divine power. We see here that God is saying to us that in the last days, the church will be bombarded with two very grave errors. One, the immortality of the soul, meaning the soul never dies, meaning that when you die, unlike following what the Bible says, that their memory perish and you are lying in the grave awaiting the resurrection. Other than that, they are saying, some in our churches are saying that the soul goes to heaven and the soul is living in heaven, when the Bible does not support that. If the Bible meant that the soul lives in heaven, then what is the purpose of a second coming of Jesus Christ? What reward is Jesus coming to bring if the soul is already experiencing the reward in heaven? Think about it. The Bible does not contradict itself. So it means that the interpretation or the lack of thinking by so-called intelligent people of today are leading men to accept a lie. God is saying that Satan is going to push these two great errors. You are seeing it in Hollywood movies. You are seeing it on a worldwide political scale, where the Pope of Rome is calling people to Sunday sacredness. Just recently we saw them on Mount Sinai, where the religions of the world were called to clamor to their individual respective governments to get them to push for a green Sabbath. We were told, we were forewarned. My brothers and sisters, God is giving us these warnings so that we may not be deceived. We may not be deceived, because they're saying that Protestantism is dead. In 2017, to mark the 500th anniversary, we saw the move that the ecumenical movement had initiated so many years ago came to fruition, where all the churches combined under the ambit of the Roman Church, who calls itself the mother, but the Bible calls it the mother of harlots. They are saying that all these people and all these believers who call themselves people of the book are no longer following the book. They are no longer following what God is saying to us. And for us it's a very grave error. Especially for people who know better. People who call themselves Seventh-day Adventists. God is calling us to be aware of what is happening. Because right before our eyes, the Roman pontiff is moving ahead to get the world to push and to legislate this Sabbath called Sunday. Let us not be deceived. Let us be aware. May God help us as we continue to read, to be focused and being obedient to what He says, and help us to be wise in making good choices. Thank you, and see you again tomorrow for a continuation of our reading. Have a good day.